Welcome back to another exciting video. This is part 2 of fixing everything that is broken with my VW T5. My van is a 2007 Volkswagen T5 California, and we've literally taken this thing on adventures everywhere, from the deserts in Spain up to the high alpine regions of the Pyrenees. Met up with families, readers of Advanture Magazine, taken it on trips out to the islands like Mallorca and Sardinia, you name it. And our daughter, well, she spent about 8 or 9 months in her first year growing up in the van. And it goes without saying that this van has been a huge part of our lives. So much has happened since I dropped part 1 of that video. And I'm going to hop into a quick recap now to get you up to speed with what went on with the front end rebuild of the suspension. We are back after 1 week break. First things first, I have the new shock absorber, the top mounts, the gaskets, everything new here apart from the spring. Managed to get a few more things unstuck over the last few days thanks to the penetrating oil in there. Still have a problem with the old drop links, so I cut the top off of the old strut, but the bottom is still connected. Cannot get that thing unstuck. I'm gonna have to look at the track rod end on the ball joint end, so I think I damaged the thread, so I may just have to get a hacksaw and just cut back a few threads to be able to get a nut on there to put that piece back on. Failing that, I'll have to remove it and put a new track rod end on there. We've got those bolts drilled out at the bottom of that. That was a nightmare. So I think today is just a case of reassessing where everything's at and starting to put things back together. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex. I am the founding editor of Advanture Magazine, which is a print van life publication covering amazing adventures to off-grid destinations, remote wildernesses, and everything in between. So check out the link in the description below and pick up your copy today. So close, like 5 mil away. This is horrible. Just gonna turn the camera off and tell you when I'm done. After having spent 1 or 2 hours hammering that knuckle with all the power I had. I was feeling quite set back by this point. In hindsight, there are easier ways of getting it back on, but I'll round that up at the end of the video. But yeah, at this point, I'm feeling like I've taken on a job with a bite much bigger than I can chew. Still trying to get this tie rod end off. It's jammed. I'm hoping now that the ball joint is back in the hub, I can put some pressure against this and pull it off, but not hopeful. Oh, I moved. It's moving. Okay, bit by bit. Okay, finally feels like we're starting to get somewhere. This was a nightmare to get off. Finally got the hub on, CV axle through the hub, all nicely lined up. There's definitely that play in there, so I think that bit's gonna need to get replaced after this. I'm gonna think whether I do that or not. So yeah, this is still the first side. So to finish things up, I'm gonna start by torquing up the top of the strut, make sure that's done up correctly. I am going to have to order a new track rod end. What else? Got new bolts coming for the shock assembly. These ones are completely rusted through. I think they're a replacement part anyway, but check out the picture of these. We've got the lower ball joint back on there. Those bolts were drilled out by the garage. The new ones went through nice and easy. I can't get that lower ball joint out, so I'm gonna have to see about how to do that at a later date. Then clean up the brake disc, put the caliper back on, get the new track rod end on, and then the drop links. I still can't get this one off, so I'm gonna have to take this upstairs out of the garage when this is all back together and cut off that last bit. And put the new one on up there. So I think I'll be okay driving up the ramp on with this track rod end cut off and replace it up there. And then start thinking about the second side. So it was mail day today. We've got a bunch of packets here which have new car parts. Let's have a look. We've got the, so that is for that is for the right hand side. That's the one I need to put on first. Fantastic. looking at the footage, it makes it kind of look like the job was a lot easier than it was in reality. Anyway, the time has come to put the wheel back on and drop the vehicle back down onto the ground. I'm going to take it upstairs now to cut off those last bits that I can't remove and then start tackling the other side. Now I truly feel like I've been on a journey, this project. Now, just a reminder, I am a self-taught mechanic here, which I'm sure it shows. I just wanted to round up a few tips that I've learned along the way that I would choose to share. And the first one would be to pick up a few good power tools. I did borrow an impact driver for the other side, and that sped up the work massively. And also work in daylight, not underground like I was in that underground parking. That just created a few problems. And it's hard, no doubt about it. This is seriously hard work. It's heavy going, it's hard on your body. It's just physically hard, but it feels great when you get there. Yeah, now out the other side. I'm happy I did it. And the investment in quality tools is the thing I'm most happy about. Like the heavy duty spring compressor, the Stanley Fatmax vise, making sure everything's safe, wearing, personal protective equipment. Having done the job now, I see the risks that were involved, and I'm glad that, I did my research beforehand and knew what I was getting into and made it as safe as possible. And along with those speciality tools for the project, I'm glad that I've invested in a good range of tools. I definitely have that mindset of buy the best thing once rather than cheap twice. I would say one of the hardest things of this job was actually getting the knuckle back on the suspension strut. That sounds really easy, but the grease that I put on there made a massive difference because I could, as you see here in the footage, get it up so far by hand. And then instead of using the actual tool that you can see in the back of the knuckle there, I just got a big screwdriver. I hammered it up in there. There it is, which made this job so much easier. I did buy a couple of chisels to do that with, but they just weren't big enough. And here with the power tools again, you can only get so far with a van that's been used as much as my one has. At some point you're going to have to cut some bits off, so don't be scared to get in there and figure it out as you go along. It's not all smooth sailing. And here I am, making sure that everything's clean, greased up properly. Got the copper grease going on there, just trying to prevent, that rust build up again in the future, whether I work on it or somebody else. Just making sure it all goes back together the best I can. And I think picking up that knowledge of what lubricants, oils, and sealants to use, that is what's going to make, ultimately the work stand out against people that kind of slap it together. So I'm really glad that, I took the extra effort to learn how to, do it all to the best I can. And hey, if you have any doubts, which I did along the way, you just need to pick the brains of somebody that's got a lot more knowledge and time underneath a vehicle, because their advice is going to go a long way.